Hi there, I'm Sue Elvis from the blog Stories of an Unschooling Family. Welcome to my video. Today I want to talk about radical unschooling. Now maybe that is rather a radical topic. You know, people think that radical unschooling is such a negative thing. It does suffer from an image problem. A lot of people think that radical unschooling results in wild and uncontrollable children. It's a very irresponsible thing for a parent to allow their children to be radically unschooled. Well, I want to change that image. I want to give you a different view of radical unschooling. Now, this is a topic that I have spoken about in a podcast. It was actually the last podcast that I made, episode 80, which I think I made about 3 weeks ago. And if you would like to go and listen to the full story, I will tell you more about that at the end of this video. I just want to give you a few of the thoughts that I mulled over in that podcast. And it all started, well, I've been thinking about this for a while because I quite often see reports on the internet of homeschoolers who have decided that they will radically unschool their children. Maybe they have been unschooling education-wise and they think, look, this is good, perhaps I'll take one more step. Or maybe some homeschoolers decide they'll jump in with both feet. We'll radically unschool. So what they do is they say to the children, from now on, you can do whatever you like. I trust that you'll make the right decisions. So off you go and do whatever you like. And it never works. Always later on, mothers will come back, maybe fathers as well. I usually talk about mothers because I'm thinking about a couple of mothers that I've read articles about. And they say what happens is that once children get permission to do whatever they like, they go off and they do self-centered things. They no longer have to do the chores, so they choose not to do them. They don't have to go to bed at a reasonable hour, so they stay up all night. And of course then parents can't go to bed. They no longer want to eat the family meals. They just want to spend the day doing whatever they like to do, and that usually results in a lot of chaos, a very untidy house, kids just involved in whatever activities they want to do, without any regard to what's going on around them. And eventually mothers say, hey, that's enough. Get back to work. I've had enough. Radical unschooling doesn't work. And then they set out to warn other people, don't radically unschool. I am so glad that I'm not radically unschooling anymore because it was a very irresponsible thing to do. I admit that. Well, I think those stories are very, very true. I think that most children would do that if given the freedom to do whatever they want to do. And maybe that isn't the best way of approaching radical unschooling. Now, I consider that we are a radically unschooling family. But my children have the choice to do whatever they want. But it's not chaos within our family. Everybody is willing to help with the chores, to be considerate of other people, to eat a diet which is considerate of the cook, to go to bed at a reasonable hour, not to make noise when other people are in bed, that type of thing. And I think, how did we get there? Did I get up one morning and say, hey, we're going to be radical unschoolers. Girls, you can do whatever you like from now on. I've read all about radical unschooling and I like the sound of it. And from now on, I'm just going to let go. I'm going to trust. Well, that's not what happened. I didn't intend for us to be I didn't intend for us to be a radically unschooled family. It just sort of happened naturally. We sort of fell into it. I suppose that things changed very, very gradually. And one day I just woke up and thought, hey, we're radical unschoolers. How about that? Yes, it wasn't my intention at all. But I did, as I said in the podcast, change. I did make some changes. The changes were all to do with me. I decided that I had to be a better parent. I thought, my children deserve more respect. I didn't like the way I was yelling at them. Relationships maybe weren't quite as good as they could have been, and I decided that I got to work on this a bit more, become a better mother. So that's what I did. I mean, it didn't happen overnight, and I had a lot of failures as well. But gradually, I did learn to respect my children, to talk to them, as I said, with respect their choices, and it all led to radical unschooling. For example, you say to kids, it's time for bed, and they look at you and say, hey Mom, I'm not tired, I'm busy, I'm still reading this book, or I want to watch this television program, and you say, look, it's bedtime, I've had enough for one day, off you go to bed, and you get into a bit of a battle over it. One day I thought, why do they have to go to bed? They're not tired. And respected they knew what they needed, their needs. And things like that, I thought, does it really matter if they don't eat what's on their plate? Perhaps they don't like this particular vegetable. Who am I to say? And so I kept stopping myself, biting my tongue from the usual responses that I was having to various situations. And I started looking at my children with different eyes, trying to talk to them in different ways, and giving them more freedom to make their own choices. And I didn't always have to get on their back about things. I found that with time, stepping back a little, talking to them properly, that they were quite willing to cooperate with me and to meet me halfway, so to speak. They didn't rush off and become wild. As I respected them, they turned around and followed my example and respected me. I helped them, they wanted to help me. So it was all to do with being a good example, which sounds very easy, but is actually very difficult. But being a better mother, I think being better people, it's something that we all should be doing. And though it's difficult, and though we fall very, very often, we have to keep up. Get up, keep on trying. And I think it doesn't really matter if we fall, if we keep making mistakes. That's not much of a good example for our children. How are they going to learn what is right and what is wrong from following our example if it isn't always good? Well, I think the key here is forgiveness. Because when we fall, we admit our mistakes, we get back up again. That is an example of its own. And if our children just forgive us, which mine do, we just keep moving forward, try again. And I think, why should my children forgive me each time? And I think it's because I started forgiving them. Started not expecting perfection from them, accepting who they are. That they're just people, well, not just people, they're wonderful people. They're wonderful people who aren't perfect, who do make mistakes just like me. But that's okay. I accept them, they make a mistake, I just say, hey, that's okay. Doesn't matter, it wasn't a big deal. And that's what my kids do, put their arms around me, say, hey Mom, not a big deal. We still love you. Unconditional love. I think that is the key to radical unschooling. Without unconditional love, radical unschooling, well, it wouldn't be radical unschooling, it would be unparenting. And yes, children would become wild and self-centered and wouldn't develop into the people that they are meant to be. They would become people that nobody would want to be around. Yes, they would be worthy of that negative image. But that's not what radical unschooling is all about. I think the message is unconditional love. Love our kids, accept them for who they are, forgive them their mistakes, try hard ourselves to be better people, to be that good example for our kids, because we can't expect them to do anything or to be the people that we want them to be without us first being willing to change ourselves. So, that's not all I said in the podcast. That is a taste of what I said, and probably I have left out some very important points. But what I wanted to do was give you a little bit to think about, and if you would like to go over to my podcast, episode 80 of my Stories of an Unschooling Family podcast, and listen to the whole podcast, then I would invite you to do that. So where will you find my podcast? You can find it on iTunes or Podbean, or I do embed it on my blog, Stories of an Unschooling Family. There's a Podbean player in the sidebar of my blog, and it has all of the episodes in there. So far I've made 80. It's quite a long time now, 2 years I think I've been podcasting. And also, if you look under the label My Podcasts, you'll find all the posts that go with each of the podcasts. So I'd like to just invite you to do that. Come over to my blog or my podcast channel and join me by listening to some of my podcasts. And if you'd like to comment, you can do that either on my blog or go over to my Facebook page, Stories of an Unschooling Family. So that's all for today. I would like to thank you for watching this video.